Something really big happened in the world of AI back in February 2026. In the span of just a few days, the entire game changed. We went from AI that could just talk to AI that could actually do things. So let's break down exactly how this agentic revolution kicked off and what it really means for all of us.
For years, we all got used to AI as a kind of chatbot, right? A creative partner, a search engine on steroids. But this was different. This was a total game changer. This was the start of agentic AI. AI that can actually execute tasks for you, manage your projects, and basically act on your behalf. It's a huge shift from just conversation to real, tangible action.
All right, so let's jump right in with the story that grabbed all the headlines. And it all kicks off with a massive, high-stakes gamble to bring personal AI agents to millions of people, basically all at once.
So, who's behind this? Well, this is the vision of Chris Marzalek. You might know him as the CEO of Crypto.com. He saw this massive shift coming and decided to go all in. He wanted to do for AI what he did for crypto, make it a household name, and his very first move was to buy a domain.
$70 million. I mean, just let that sink in. That's not just buying a website, that's a massive statement. It was the highest price ever publicly paid for a domain name, and it was basically firing the starting gun. The race to own the agentic AI space was officially on, and the price of admission was, well, staggering.
So what were they actually promising for that $70 million? Well, the ambition was just off the charts. We're not talking about another chatbot here. AI.com promised a true personal assistant that could handle your calendar, send your messages, even trade stocks for you. But here's the really wild part. These agents were designed to learn from each other, creating this constantly improving network for everybody. It's like a hive mind for your personal assistants.
So you've got this huge promise. You've spent all this money. What's the launch plan? The Super Bowl, of course. They invited the world, and boy, did the world show up. And what happens when millions of people try to do the same thing at once? Yep, it crashed. Hard. The site was completely overwhelmed. But in a way, that crash was a success. It proved that people were absolutely hungry for an AI that could finally do things for them.
Okay, so that's the big, flashy, public-facing story. But while all that chaos was happening on the front end, something much quieter and maybe even more important was being built in the background. Because you can't have a revolution without, roads. You need infrastructure.
So think about this. If we're going to have billions of these AI agents running around, doing things for everyone, how do you stop it from becoming total, absolute chaos? If every company builds its own agents its own way, it's like having a bunch of people in a room who all speak different languages. It's just noise. Nothing gets done.
Well, here's how you do it. You get everyone to agree on a common language. And that's where the Agentic AI Foundation, or the AAF, comes in. This was a huge deal. It was hosted by the Linux Foundation, which is neutral ground, and it brought bitter rivals. We're talking OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, all to the same table to build the basic plumbing, the shared rules of the road for all their agents.
So what did they actually build? It really boils down to three core things. Think of the first one, MCP, as a universal adapter that lets any AI model connect to any tool. The second one, Goose, is like the instruction manual for how an agent should actually do its work. And agents.md, that's just a simple, standardized note you leave for the agent, telling it what the job is. Put them all together, and bam, you have the basic toolkit for this whole new world.
Okay, so we've got the hype, we've got the plumbing, everything's in place. So the big question is, does it actually work? Are we all getting more done? You'd think the answer would be a simple yes, but, well, the early data tells a story that's way more complicated than that.
And this is what's so fascinating. On the one hand, you've got this lab study from 2023, and the results are incredible. A 56% speed boost for developers using AI. Awesome, right? But then, a 2025 study comes out, this time looking at real-world, messy projects. And guess what? Developers using AI were actually slower, 19% slower. So, what on earth is going on? How can both of these be true? This table really gets to the heart of the paradox. Look, the AI did help with the old stuff. It cut down the time spent on coding, searching for answers, and debugging. That's the win. But it also introduced a whole new set of chores. Suddenly, developers were spending all this time writing prompts, waiting for the AI to think, and, this is the big one, double-checking its work. And all that new work didn't just eat up the time saved, it actually added more. And here's the kicker, the part that's just wild. Even though the data, the clock on the wall, showed they were slower,
The developers felt like they were faster. They felt more productive. It's a huge lesson, right? Our gut feeling about how productive we are with these powerful new tools, it might be totally wrong. So we've talked about hype and productivity, but there's another darker side to all of this. Because when you give an AI the power to do things, to take real actions, you open up a whole new can of worms when it comes to security. You're giving it the keys to the kingdom, and you got to worry about who else might try to grab them.
And we saw this play out for real with something called the OpenClaw incident. Think of OpenClaw as an AI you can run yourself, and you can download new skills for it from a marketplace, kind of like an app store. Well, some bad actors realized they could game this. One user uploaded over 300 skills that looked totally harmless, disguised as things like Yahoo Finance. But hidden inside was a simple command: "Hey AI, go to this shady website and download and run whatever you find there." And just like that, the user's own AI became a Trojan horse, installing malware right onto their system.
So, how do you fight back against that? OpenClaw's response was actually pretty brilliant. They teamed up with Google's VirusTotal and basically built an automated security guard. Now, every new skill gets a full pat-down. If the guard doesn't recognize it, it gets sent to a special interrogation room where another AI, this one powered by Gemini, analyzes its behavior. It's not just looking at the code, it's watching what the code tries to do. It's like fighting fire with fire, or in this case, fighting AI threats with AI defenses.
Okay, wow. So after all of that, the hype, the plumbing, the paradox, the peril, what's the bottom line? What do we make of this pivotal moment where AI finally got up and started doing things?
I think the best way to look at it is like this. It's not one single story. It's 4 huge things all happening at the exact same time. You've got the insane hype and money pouring in. At the same time, you've got the super important quiet work of building the foundation. Then there's the reality check of the productivity paradox. And finally, you've got the very real, very new dangers that have popped up. All 4 pieces are part of the same puzzle.
And if you think that's a lot to keep track of, get this. Underneath all that public drama, the actual science is moving at a speed that is just hard to comprehend. On one single day, in the middle of that week, researchers submitted 437 new papers on AI to the main research server. 437 in one day. The engine of discovery isn't just running, it's flooring it.
And that really leaves us with the one question that matters most, doesn't it? We've unleashed an AI that can now act for us with a level of power we've never seen before. So the race is on. Are we building the guardrails, the security, and the understanding to manage this power faster than we're building the power itself? That's the question we all have to answer, and it's going to define everything that comes next.